Long ago, a garden wasn't just a patch of grass to mow or a place for weekend BBQs. It was a space that fed an entire family, where children ran under the shade of trees, and where adults planted vegetables they cared for with their own hands. Those old gardens were full of the smell of soil, the sound of birds, and the habits that a whole generation once saw as completely normal. Yet somehow we've forgotten almost all of those values. And the big question is, why did we let go of the traditions that once made us strong, self-reliant, and connected to nature? Today, we're going to explore 12 ancient garden features that have been completely forgotten. Oh, right. Let me introduce myself a bit. I'm Billy, someone who loves farming soil and homegrown veggies more than my morning coffee. I'm here to help you rediscover the best parts of old-style gardening in a fun, simple, and practical way. If you're watching and feel a little spark inside, leave a small affirmation. I want to grow clean, fresh vegetables at home. And don't forget to hit subscribe so we can bring a breath of nature back into daily life together. Now, we're going to explore 12 old garden features that were once very common, but have slowly disappeared over time. Each one carries real practical value and can make any modern garden more sustainable, natural, and efficient. 1. Asparagus bed, a long-lived perennial patch. An asparagus bed is one of the most reliable perennial choices in a traditional garden. Asparagus isn't like vegetables that you harvest in just one season. When you plant it, you need to give the first 2 to 3 years for the roots to build strength and stability. This stage is important because deep, healthy roots determine the harvest in the long run. Once the bed matures, you can harvest every spring for many years, even more than 2 decades, without planting again. Asparagus loves full sun and well-drained soil. Many old-time gardeners prepared raised beds, so water wouldn't pool, helping the roots avoid rot. When planting, you just keep the soil lightly moist, add a thin layer of mulch, and avoid digging too deep so you don't damage the roots. Another key point is not harvesting too early. If you let the plants grow naturally in their first years, the bed becomes stronger and produces better harvests for a long time. In the past, asparagus was seen as a stable investment in the garden. Each season, the fresh green spears popping up were a reminder that patience always pays off. Even though many people today prefer fast-growing vegetables, asparagus is still an excellent choice for anyone who wants a sustainable garden with very little replanting. Once you prepare the bed the right way, the garden rewards you with many years of fresh, steady harvests that require very little care. 2. Cloches, bell-shaped covers to protect seedlings. Cloches were one of the traditional tools used to protect young plants on cold or windy days. A cloche looks like an upside-down bell placed over a plant. Once set down, it traps a warm layer of air inside, holding heat from the sun and preventing the seedling from getting shocked by sudden temperature drops. This method was especially useful in early spring when the weather changed quickly and seedlings were still fragile. Cloches can be made from glass, clear plastic, or even from a cut plastic bottle. Glass was the most common material in the past because it held heat well and lasted a long time. Besides warmth, cloches also protect seedlings from strong wind, heavy rain, insects, and small animals. With cloches, plants get a better chance to grow fast and strong, building a solid start for the whole season. Using cloches is simple. You just place them over the plants during cold days and open the top or lift them off when the weather gets too hot. This prevents the seedlings from overheating inside the small enclosed space. A cloche works like a mini greenhouse. No electricity, no complicated tools, and suitable for gardens of any size. Even though they work well, cloches were slowly forgotten as modern gardening equipment became more common. But for those who prefer natural, low-cost methods, cloches are still a powerful choice. You can reuse large glass jars, clear containers, or cut plastic bottles to make simple versions that work just as well. With just a few cloches, you can start planting earlier and protect your seedlings without much effort. 3. Bean teepee, a vertical climbing shelter for beans. A bean teepee is a simple but incredibly useful structure in the garden. It's made by standing a few bamboo poles or wooden stakes upright and tying them together at the top to form a cone shape. When you plant bean seeds around the base of the frame, the vines quickly climb up and cover the entire structure. This is a great way to use vertical space, especially in small gardens. The bean teepee not only helps climbing plants grow firmly, but also improves airflow, reduces moisture, and limits fungal problems. As the plants grow, you can easily watch them prune leaves and harvest beans without bending down too much. Growing beans vertically also increases yields because the plants receive more sunlight compared to spreading across the ground. Another clear benefit is the natural shade it creates. When the vines grow thick, the teepee becomes a cool green canopy that helps keep the soil moist and reduces water evaporation on hot days. It's also an ideal environment for smaller plants that enjoy light shade. In the past, bean teepees were very common because they were easy to build and required very few materials. Over time, they were replaced by metal or plastic trellises sold in stores. However, the bean teepee still offers something those modern items don't: a natural look, low cost, and the ability to blend beautifully into the garden. If you want to add something visually appealing and space-saving, a bean teepee is a wonderful choice. With just a few poles and some bean seeds, you can create a living structure that is both practical and deeply connected to nature. 4. Onion braids, long-term storage. Through traditional braiding. Braiding onions is a traditional technique that helps store them for a long time without needing a fridge or plastic containers. After harvesting, gardeners usually let the onions dry in gentle sunlight or a breezy area so the outer skin can tighten. Once the onions are dry enough, the stems become flexible and easy to braid into long hanging strands. This natural, effective method keeps onions in good condition for months without spoiling. Onion braids work well because air can circulate around each bulb, reducing moisture and mold. You can hang the braids in a shed, kitchen, or any cool, dry place out of direct sunlight. This method saves space and keeps the onions clean and easy to grab whenever you need them. Braiding also helps organize onions by size or harvest time, so you can use them more efficiently. In the past, braided onions were a familiar sight in gardening households. They weren't just a storage method. They added a rustic, natural charm to the living space. However, the habit of buying bagged onions slowly made this technique fade away. Still, many home gardeners today are bringing it back because of its convenience and beauty. If you grow onions at home, braiding them is an easy skill that offers great benefits. Just be patient until the onions dry. Then use the stems to weave each layer tightly. This not only extends storage time, but also creates a lively, natural decoration in your gardening space. 5. Cold frames. Glass-topped frames that keep soil and seedlings warm. A cold frame is a low wooden box with a glass or clear plastic lid on top, designed to keep the soil warm and protect young plants during cold weather. It's a simple but very effective tool, especially in early spring, when plants need steady temperatures to grow well. Sunlight passes through the clear lid, creating a warmer environment inside and protecting seedlings from strong winds or frost. Cold frames work like a tiny greenhouse, but without electricity heating systems or complicated setup. Many traditional gardeners reused old windows as the top covers, saving money while keeping things sustainable. Inside the frame, you can grow cold-tolerant vegetables, salad greens, herbs, or use it to start plants early before moving them into the main garden bed. Using a cold frame is quite simple. When the weather is sunny and temperatures rise, you just open the lid so the plants don't overheat. At night, or when the weather turns cold, you close the lid to keep the warmth in. Because you can control the environment inside, seedlings grow stronger and experience less stress from temperature changes. This leads to healthier roots, greener leaves, and more stable growth. Even though cold frames are effective, they gradually faded away as people began buying store-bought produce year-round. However, if you want more control over your growing season and want to extend your gardening window, cold frames are a natural, low-cost, and very useful solution. Even a small cold frame can help you start the season earlier and keep fresh greens growing even when the weather isn't ideal. 6. Victory gardens. Self-sustaining gardens in difficult times. Victory gardens were self-sufficient gardens created during hard times when families needed to grow their own food to reduce pressure on the supply chain and save money. These gardens were often planted in backyards, front porches, or any small patch of land that could be used. The planting style was simple, focus on reliable vegetables like tomatoes, potatoes, carrots, beans, and easy-to-care-for leafy greens. The key idea behind victory gardens was practicality. Gardeners chose plants based on daily needs and seasonal availability. The goal wasn't to create a decorative garden, but to provide real food for the family. With just a few small garden beds, they could harvest enough vegetables to last for weeks. Victory gardens also built a sense of independence. When you sow, care for, and harvest your own vegetables, you know exactly where your food comes from. This reduces reliance on grocery stores and gives you better control over your meals. The model doesn't require complex tools, just loose soil, sunlight, and a seasonal planting plan. Although victory gardens faded as packaged food became more common, they are slowly returning in modern gardening. Many people have realized that even a few small beds can make a big difference in both budget and health. If you want to start a garden with the goal of self-sufficiency, a victory garden is a simple and effective place to begin. 7. Root cellar, a natural underground storage space. A root cellar is a traditional way of storing vegetables that relies completely on the natural temperature of the earth. Before refrigerators existed, many families used root cellars to keep potatoes, carrots, onions, turnips, and apples for months. No electricity, no complicated equipment, just a cool, dark space with steady humidity. A root cellar works well because soil holds temperature extremely well. During winter, underground temperatures stay cold enough to slow spoilage, but not so cold that vegetables freeze. Thanks to this stable environment, produce stays crisp and keeps its natural flavor much longer than it would at room temperature. Crops like potatoes and carrots can last through the entire winter if stored correctly. To set up a simple root cellar, all you need are wooden shelves, a few breathable crates, and a place shielded from direct light. Potatoes must be kept in complete darkness to prevent sprouting. Carrots and turnips can be packed in dry sand to extend their shelf life. Apples should be stored separately to avoid affecting other vegetables. The most important factor is maintaining light airflow to prevent excess moisture. Root cellars were once a natural part of old gardens, but faded away as refrigerators became common. Still, many gardeners today are revisiting this method because it saves energy, reduces waste, and keeps produce fresh after harvest. If you grow a lot of fall vegetables or want a more sustainable storage method, even a small root cellar can add a tremendous amount of value to your garden. 8. Rhubarb patch, a hardy, cold-resistant perennial. Rhubarb is one of the toughest perennials found in many traditional gardens. Once planted properly, it can survive harsh winters and return every year with large, strong stalks. It's a perfect choice for anyone who wants a steady harvest without replanting often. What makes rhubarb special is its ability to thrive with very little care. The plant prefers well-drained soil, plenty of sunlight, and occasional organic fertilizer. Once mature, you simply harvest the older stalks and let the younger ones continue growing. Rhubarb is ideal for a forgotten corner of the garden because it adapts extremely well on its own. For generations, rhubarb was commonly used in cooking, especially in pies and jams, thanks to its mild, tangy flavor. However, many people today avoid planting it because they're unfamiliar with the taste, or assume it's difficult to grow. In reality, rhubarb is one of the easiest plants to maintain. Just plant it once. Be patient during the first 2 years while it establishes itself, and you'll enjoy a dependable spring harvest for many years. One important thing to remember is that rhubarb leaves are not edible, but the thick stalks are nutritious and can be used in many recipes. When choosing a location, give the plant plenty of space because it can spread and form a large patch over time. If you want to add a strong, low-maintenance perennial that signals the start of a new season each year, rhubarb is an excellent choice for your garden. 9. Companion planting. Pairing plants to improve soil and boost yields. Companion planting is the practice of growing different plants together so they can support each other in the same area. The goal is to create a balanced garden environment where plants grow stronger and the soil improves naturally over time. This is an old gardening method because it increases productivity without relying on heavy fertilizers or chemicals. The technique is based on the idea that each plant plays its own role. Some plants improve soil structure, hold moisture, and reduce compaction. Others attract beneficial insects that help control pests without much intervention. There are also plants that provide light shade, cover the soil, and help neighboring plants grow more steadily in hot conditions. When arranged correctly, the plants in a companion system share space and resources in harmony. Their roots grow at different depths, making the most of available nutrients. Thanks to this natural support, plants develop stronger resistance, look greener, and are less affected by weather or pests. Another major benefit of companion planting is reduced maintenance. When the soil holds moisture well and the biological environment stays stable, you don't have to water as often, replace soil frequently, or use many treatment products. This makes the garden more sustainable and easier to maintain, especially for those who prefer a natural approach today. Even with many modern methods available, companion planting remains an important technique. It's a simple way to create a healthy, efficient, and eco-friendly garden. 10. Grape arbor, a natural shaded structure for beauty and comfort. A grape arbor is a simple structure that brings great value to a garden. When grapes are planted beneath it and trained to climb upward, they create a natural canopy that is both beautiful and practical. The wide leaves block direct sunlight, forming a cool shaded area underneath. This makes it a perfect spot for a seating area, shade-loving plants, or a small relaxation corner in the garden. A grape arbor also helps the plant grow healthier. When lifted off the ground, grapevines receive better airflow, reducing moisture problems and fungal diseases. The fruit gets more sunlight and often has better quality. Care and harvest become easier too, since the clusters hang openly and within easy reach. This is especially helpful for gardeners who want good yields without too much effort. To build a grape arbor, all you need is a sturdy wooden or metal frame and a location with full sun. Grapes grow quickly, so yearly pruning is important to guide the vines and keep the structure strong. Once the arbor fills with leaves, you'll have a space that is both visually appealing and highly functional. It also makes great use of vertical space and turns an empty corner into a standout feature. Although grape arbors were once popular in traditional gardens, they were gradually replaced by simpler modern designs. Still, a grape arbor carries a natural charm that's hard to replace. If you want a structure that is both decorative and fruitful, a grape arbor is the ideal choice. With a bit of patience and care, it can become one of the most beautiful parts of your garden. 11. Olas, clay pots that release water. Slowly, Olas are an old but incredibly effective watering method. especially for gardens that need to save water and reduce daily maintenance. An olla is a porous clay pot buried in the soil with only its opening left above ground. When you fill the pot with water, the moisture slowly seeps through the clay walls and goes directly to the root zone. This system gives plants steady, deep moisture and reduces evaporation from the surface. Because of that, you don't have to water as often, and you don't have to worry about the soil drying out too quickly on hot days. This slow-release method encourages strong root growth, helping plants stay stable and healthy throughout the season. Another big benefit of Olas is that it prevents overwatering. Since water is released based on soil, plants don't get waterlogged or stressed. This makes Olas ideal for beginners or anyone who doesn't have time to check soil moisture every day. They also reduce fungal issues because the soil surface doesn't stay constantly wet. You can buy ready-made Olas, but you can also create your own by sealing 2 clay pots together and closing the bottom hole. Installing them is simple. Bury the olla near the root area. Pack the soil firmly around it, fill it with water, and place a small lid on top to keep bugs and debris out. Even though many people now rely on modern irrigation systems, Olas remain a sustainable, low-cost, eco-friendly solution. If you want a garden that stays healthy without constant watering, this method delivers clear, long-lasting results. 12. Stink bucket, a strong homemade liquid fertilizer. A stink bucket is a type of liquid fertilizer that was once widely used in traditional gardens. The process is simple. Place leaves, weeds, vegetable scraps, or even a bit of fish waste into a bucket of water and let the mixture break down naturally for several weeks. As the materials decompose, the water becomes rich in nutrients and can be used to feed many types of plants. Although the smell can be strong, the liquid contains high levels of minerals and organic matter, helping plants grow faster and recover well after pests or nutrient shortages. When diluted before watering, the fertilizer soaks deep into the soil and reaches the roots more quickly than solid fertilizers. This is especially effective for leafy vegetables and plants that need a strong boost at the start of the growing season. A stink bucket doesn't require expensive tools or complicated formulas. You just need a bucket with a lid to reduce odor and keep insects away. During the soaking process, you can stir the mixture to speed up decomposition. Once the liquid turns dark, strain out the solids and dilute the solution before applying it to the soil. One major advantage of this method is that it uses materials that would normally be thrown away. Weeds, old leaves, or kitchen scraps can all become valuable nutrients. This reduces waste and creates a natural cycle within the garden. Although not as common as before, stink buckets are still an effective way to enrich soil without relying on store-bought fertilizers. If you want a sustainable, low-cost method with clear results, this is a worthwhile technique to try. When we look back at these old gardening techniques, we realize that many methods, even though forgotten, still offer great value today. They help the soil become healthier, save water, reduce daily work, and provide fresh food right at home. These practices don't require modern equipment, only patience and the habit of observing nature. A garden doesn't just give us vegetables and fruit. It also helps us relax, stay focused, and slow down. When we sow seeds and care for plants with our own hands, we feel the changes day by day, and that brings a simple, peaceful kind of joy. If you feel ready to bring more greenery into your space, leave this simple affirmation: I want to grow clean, fresh vegetables at home. And don't forget to hit subscribe, because I still have many easy, practical tips to share with you. See you in the next video, where we continue building a garden that is healthy and full of life. Beautiful.